Hi, this is County Executive Mark Molinaro. I want to thank you for joining us on our telephone town hall this evening. This is a town hall meeting regarding the Dutchess County proposed 2017 budget. Right now we're making thousands of phone calls across Dutchess County, so I'd ask you to hold on just for a few moments as we add folks to the line. Right now you're on the call with about 600 other neighbors and residents, and calls continue to go out. So at this point, I just want to let you know that if you hang on the call and you're interested in asking a question about the 2017 tentative budget or about Dutchess County issues, you need to press star 3. So if by hitting star 3 on your phone, you'll go to our call center and they'll process your question, and we'll get you up into the queue. My goal tonight is to give you a little bit of background regarding the 2017 tentative budget, and then also give you an opportunity to ask questions. So as we wait for the calls to continue to move along, we want to give you a little bit of background about the 2017 budget. So in accordance with the county charter, I'm required to present to the Dutchess County Legislature a tentative budget for the coming year. We did that last week. The 2017 budget keeps county spending flat as it relates to current spending. We are also providing the third consecutive year of tax levy reductions and the second consecutive year of a tax rate cut. Within that, we have targeted funding for economic development and tourism and agriculture. Want to also mention that we're focusing new resources on criminal justice and law enforcement with the goal of reforming the criminal justice system, focused on prevention, trying to assist law enforcement with appropriate training. Additionally, Dutchess County has established the goal of being the healthiest county in the state of New York within a decade, and we have focused resources toward improving overall community health. And of course, you might know that we have a very successful and growing initiative called Think Differently to ensure residents, regardless of ability, have a community that supports, respects, and assists them. Now, you're on the call now. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro. Let me mention we have several county legislators with us. Legislators Marge Horton and John Metzger from East Fishkill are here with us. Legislator Greg Pulver from Pine Plains in the northeast part of our county. Legislator Ken Roman from the town of Poughkeepsie. Legislator Don Sagliano from the town of Pleasant Valley, and the chairman of the Dutchess County Legislature, Dale Borkett, is here with us, and they're looking forward to participating as well. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is County Executive Mark Molinaro. You're on a call with a couple thousand other Dutchess County residents, and we're having a live telephone town hall tonight. And in regards to the 2017 tentative county budget, I think we're going to start with a question from Larry from Dover. Give us 1 second. Larry, you there?
Hello, this is Larry. Hi, Marcus.
Larry, hi. How are you? You have a question?
You. How are you?
I'm great.
Yes,
thanks.
I do. So I understand that we rely heavily on tourism for county revenue, but what is specifically being done to promote agribusiness in our county?
That's a great question, and actually, as we do this, let me use this as an opportunity. We're going to let you ask your questions. We're then going to mute you just so that we can get an answer in and you can listen. So I appreciate the call. First and foremost, you are correct. Tourism has been and remains one of the largest components of Dutchess County's economy, representing some 8,000 jobs countywide. Now, the budget dedicates the budget dedicates $1.3 million in tourism support, and when you add agricultural development, farmland development, it's a $1.7 million investment. Now, specifically for agriculture, this budget dedicates $262,000 for agriculture development and sustainability. Now, beyond that, I just want to mention that Dutchess has a very successful program of preserving active farmland. And this year, the county legislature will consider, again, another $1 million bond to help support farming. And I would use this opportunity to also let those of you on the line know that we're able to commit that $1 million in partnership with, in fact, the state of New York. thanks to Senator Sue Serino and Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett, the state of New York has increased its Environmental Protection Fund, which allows, in fact, state dollars to match those agriculture protection, farmland protection, and agriculture dollars in Dutchess County. So I hope that answers your question, and I appreciate you asking. At this point, again, we want to just thank you all for being on the call. We are having, right now we're calling thousands of Dutchess County residents. You're on the line with about 2,000 Dutchess County residents, and we welcome you to the telephone town hall. We're going to take a call and a question from Justin, and as we do that, before Justin gets started, if you have a question and you're on the line, again, this is County Executive Mark Molinaro, hit *3 on your phone, and you'll be able to ask a question. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, my question was, I saw there's a reduction in taxes on this budget, which is obviously great news. However, my only concern, and I certainly don't want to complain, but are there any cuts in core services that are going to be affected because of the reduction?
Good question, Justin. Thank you for asking that. So this is the tentative budget for 2017 includes the third consecutive year of tax levy reductions. It's approximately $175,000 tax levy reduction. Thanks to modest economic growth, we also are able to provide the second year of tax rate cuts. And, of course, it's a good question. If we're cutting taxes, are we able to sustain services? This budget, in fact, maintains commitment to the core county services that we provide and at the same time makes some targeted investment in tourism and farmland, tourism and agricultural development, along with economic development, a focus on providing assistance to seniors and veterans. In fact, we're expanding our commitment to veteran services and, in fact, adding dollars to assist seniors who need care in their home. And, in fact, this budget includes a fairly sizable commitment to services to assist young people throughout the county and strengthen families. So you can find more information about the county budget at dutchessny.gov. Our entire proposed budget, along with a document we call the Budget in Brief, is online. You can take a visit and read a little bit about it. So I appreciate the question, and thank you for that. And, again, you're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. You are joined by some 2,100 other Dutchess County residents on this telephone town hall. We just last week released and proposed the 2017 tentative budget. Again, this provides the third year of tax levy reductions, the second year of tax rate reductions, along with a commitment and investment in infrastructure, agriculture and economic development, tourism, youth services, veteran services, senior services, and reshaping a lot of what we do in the area of mental health. I'm joined this evening by several members of the county legislature. Chairman Dale Borkett from the town of LaGrange is here with us, along with John Metzger and Marge Horton from East Fishkill, Don Sagliano from Pleasant Valley, and Ken Roman from the town of Poughkeepsie. If you have a question, hit *3. I think we're going to go to, you want to go to James? We're going to go to James in Poquay. James, you have a question?
Good evening, County Executive. Thanks for doing this call, and thanks for the effort that you've put into reducing the budget, reducing the taxes for the residents.
Thank you.
My question revolves around the line item in the budget. I haven't had a chance to look at this year's budget, but I know in the last couple of years, the assigned counsel program dedicated to family court has been about $1.5, $1.8 million in the budget. And towards the end of each year, the last 3 or 4 years, that portion of the budget has had to be funded with additional dollars towards the end of the year, like October, because of shortfalls. Personal opinion, I think it's because of abuse of the assigned counsel program and lack of oversight. So my question is, how can you and the rest of the overseers of the budget have tighter controls over that piece of it?
That's a good question, and thanks for your comment. And let me give you an answer. First and foremost, so several years ago, this county aggressively secured and continues to secure state financial assistance to expand the public defender's office. Now, there is an effort currently to have the state take over the entire cost for public defense, and in fact, our entire, just as an aside, our entire Dutchess County state delegation. So assembly members in both political parties, senators throughout the county, in fact, got the state legislature to adopt a bill that would have the state, in fact, take over the entire cost for public defense. We're waiting on the governor to sign that bill, and by the way, I'd encourage you to join us in calling on the governor to sign that bill. It would provide about $4 million in mandate relief. So by securing those state dollars, we expanded the public defender's office, and by doing that, we expanded into the family court, and little by little, in fact, the assigned counsel dollars have gone down. In fact, this budget does decrease the commitment to assigned counsel. We're relying now on public defenders, so it allows us a greater amount of oversight. Within the family court, we now have public defenders in all of the parts of the family court, and we continue to expand the number of cases that the public defender takes. That allows us to control costs, and in this case, to have much of it funded through the state as well. Now, within that, we also, by the way, created a partnership with the Ulster County. So when there's a conflict case in our court or a conflict case in their court, instead of having to hire outside counsel, we use their public defender or our public defender, which saves both counties a significant amount of money. And then lastly, we are institutionalizing a pilot program where the public defender would represent individuals at the time of parole, and that also is saving us a great deal of money. So we're actually seeing significant reductions. We have great cooperation from most of the family court judges, and in fact, they are doing more and more to lean on the public defender's office. So we're cutting costs there, and that's one of the ways we're able to leave spending level and reduce taxes at the same time. So I appreciate that question. If you're on the call now, you're on the call. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro, joined by legislators Ken Roman, Don Sagliano, John Metzger, Marge Horton, and Chairman Dale Borkett. This is a telephone town hall. We're making thousands of phone calls across the county, and you're on the line with a few thousand people as we speak. If you have a question, hit *3. We're going to go to Bill from Poughkeepsie. Go ahead, Bill.
Good evening, County Executive. My question is, how does the county partner with the state in its delivery of mental health services?
That's a good question. You know, I think we all know that in Eastern Dutchess and, of course, in Poughkeepsie, the state of New York built this great mental health institution, the Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center, the Harlem Valley Psych Center, and Taconic DDSO in Wassaic. And by the way, over time, as you know, the state backed away from their commitment and closed those facilities. And with that, by the way, some years ago, really created a crisis in mental health. What we've seen over the last couple of years, in particular thanks to Senator Sue Serino and Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett, we have been able to secure direct assistance from the state to transition from what was an institutional-based mental health system to now this much more comprehensive mental health structure that we've been implementing. What that includes, by the way, is significant financial support that we were able to lobby and secure thanks to Senator Serino and Assemblymember Barrett, that now allows us to fund our mobile intervention team. So these are folks who go out into the field when there are mental health crises, to fund our crisis intervention training. This is law enforcement training so that individuals in law enforcement throughout the county are prepared to deal with those with mental health issues, drug addiction, etc. And in February of next year, by February of next year, we will open one of its kind in the state stabilization center. This is a walk-in facility where an individual who might have a mental health crisis or an addiction issue, rather than being transported to an emergency room or jail where they're less likely to get the right service, they can come to this stabilization center, and we can assess with professionals on site and partners in 8 separate not-for-profits that partner with us and provide direct assistance. And the goal here is to intervene at the right time to divert individuals from the emergency room and jail so they get the right kind of mental health support. And we're just grateful to the Senator and to the Assembly member for their assistance. So you're on a call with County Executive Mark Molinaro and several members of the County Legislature, and I want to welcome you. You're on the line with, several thousand Dutchess County residents as we make calls in this live telephone town hall. We're talking specifically about the 2017 tentative budget, but if you've got a question regarding county issues, feel free to hit *3 on your phone, *3, and I'd be happy to take your call. So at this point, why don't we go with Joan? I think Joan from Hopewell Junction. Joan, just so you know, your two legislators are here, Marge Horton and John Metzger, and maybe they'll jump in if they want to. But go ahead.
Yes, Mark. My name is June, by the way, and I am from Hopewell Junction. My biggest concern is, of course, I'm sure that on everybody's mind, is the taxes that we're paying here. If you have a school or you have a church or whatever, and I know of a school in particular that only has 2 students, but they're tax exempt. The big businesses come in here, tax exempt, and who pays the difference for it? We do, the older people that have been paying taxes in this town for 51 years. And I think it's a kind of a disgrace. We're the highest taxed state in the country.
You're correct. New York has the horrible distinction of being among the highest per capita in tax burden. And you are also correct. In fact, as you know, I think the Poughkeepsie Journal just did a series of stories about the number of properties that are exempt from local property taxes. And you're also right that then distributes the cost to property taxpayers. I would say that the state needs to be serious about taking a look and evaluating the tax-exempt status so that it's defined very clearly and limited to those things that historically have been exempt from property taxes. The fact is that too many take advantage of the tax-exempt laws in this state, although there's been some effort to correct that. Now, what I want you to know, so where Dutchess County government can play a role is by holding the line on your county taxes. Now, I want to recognize that Dutchess County's property tax is only about 14% of what you pay in property taxes. School tax is obviously the largest burden. This budget does, again, cut the Dutchess County tax levy. So we will collect less in property taxes in 2017 than we did in 16, and 16 less than we did in 15, and 15 less than we did in 14. So we're doing our best to cut the county tax levy. Dutchess County as a government has the second lowest per capita tax burden of any county our size in the state, which is, again, because we're a small portion, I recognize that you're also, you don't get the biggest bang for your buck when we cut taxes, but we're going to keep doing it. And just so you know, and those of you listening, we also established this year a taxpayer protection fund. Dutchess County's fiscal condition, our finance, posture, if you will, is very, very strong, and we have a decent savings account. And within that savings account, we've dedicated some money to ensure that we can keep from having to raise taxes over several years. So our taxpayer protection fund allows us to hold the line on taxes and not increase county property taxes, and we're going to keep doing that. And for your sake, we're going to keep advocating at the state and federal level for real relief, because I recognize this. I mean, we all struggle to pay our property taxes, and this state needs to really change that and address that. So I absolutely understand the question and appreciate you asking. Now, with that, again, you're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're calling actually every household in Dutchess County. You're on the line with several thousand Dutchess County residents. This is a telephone town hall that you're on the call with a few members of the county legislature who are here with us. If you have a question, hit *3, and at this point, I'd be happy to take a call. We'll go to Sarah in Poughkeepsie. Go right ahead, Sarah.
Hi, Mark. I've seen the dollar bill that you've shown that shows about how much the state mandates in spending. My first part of the question is it really that much? And what can be done about that?
That's a great question. Our favorite handout is our dollar bill, and if you're on the call, please go online to dutchessny.gov, and you can see a little bit more about mandates. Yes, 70% of Dutchess County's budget, 70% of our property tax levy, and 70 cents of every dollar we collect from taxpayers in Dutchess County is forced on us by Albany or Washington. It's a state or federal mandate. And what that means is we don't have control over any of that. That's all dictated by someone else. And they force down that cost onto us. Now, New York is the only state in the country that forces so much onto local property taxpayers. So at this point, this state allows far too much to be forced down onto local property taxpayers, and the state needs to confront that. Now, within that, we do our best to reduce cost. The county jail, for instance, is a state mandate, and what we've been doing is actually creating greater efficiencies to cut costs within that. There are a number of state mandates where we have the ability to reduce the cost. We have. Where we don't, we continue to shoulder the burden from Albany. Now, what I would encourage you is to join the county legislature in really petitioning the state of New York to take over and take responsibility for some of those things. I mentioned before, public defender, that would save the county $4 million. This is a constitutional mandate. The state, in fact, lost a lawsuit that requires them to pay, yet they haven't paid any of the counties. So we're calling on the state to pay for that. Additionally, you and I pay about 7 taxes to fund the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority. And this county pays $400,000 in what's called the payroll tax. It's the first time in state history, by the way, the state of New York government taxed governments to pay a tax. We're asking the state legislature to repeal that as well. And when you go to the DMV, I don't know if you know this, but you think you're going to the Dutchess County DMV and you're being provided services, of course, by County Clerk Brad Kendall, and they do a great job. But every dollar you spend for a DMV service, even though we're mandated to provide it, the state only lets us keep 12.7 cents. And the legislature is saying, wait a minute, if we have to fund $1 of service, we'd like to at least get a little bit more, and we're asking the state to give us 25 cents of every dollar so that we can offset property taxes. So those are just a few, but if you visit DutchessNY.gov online, you get to see you can see the proposed budget and also to learn a little bit more about our mandate relief efforts. But you are correct, 70 cents of every dollar goes to pay for state-mandated expenditures, and we are the only state in the country that forces so much down on local property taxpayers. So again, you're on the line with Dutchess County Executive Mark Molinaro. This is a conversation about our 2017 proposed budget. We're calling thousands of households across Dutchess County. You're on the line with several thousand Dutchess County residents now. We'd ask you, if you would, just to be patient. I'm trying to get to as many questions as we can. If you have a question, hit *3. At this point, I think we're going to go to, we're going to go to Annette in Poughkeepsie. You have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I
Hi.
just moved to Poughkeepsie. I was waiting for 2 years to get into a disabled and senior citizens complex. I was just interested in the topic you had for mental health issues, and there are certain types of people in the county that needs service, and if you're not connected to programs like social services for financial support, to know that these places are available, it's a lot of people without the help. And like you're calling households today, which is a good thing, to get people aware and interested to know what's available to them in the county. But it's a good topic. A lot of people are disabled and with issues other than working. Some people can't work anymore, like if you're retired or shut down at an early age and disabled. But it's good to hear that you do have programs available on my topic and interest,
Well, let's do this, Annette. I hear what you're saying. Why don't I try to respond a little bit and give you some information? I'll let you, if I were you, if you have a pen nearby, get a pen.
I do.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of information. First and foremost, for those online, if you do have a mental health concern, Dutchess County's Department of Behavioral and Community Health has professionals on staff who can direct you to some assistance. Whether, by the way, that's you have a mental health issue that you want addressed immediately, or you're looking for direction with a family member who may be dealing with a mental health issues, you can call or text Dutchess County's helpline, and let me give you that number. That is 845-485-9700. Again, that's 845-485-9700, and they also have folks that can assist you in identifying services that are available to those with mental health issues. The other is for those living with special needs. We are the we created this last year the first in the state deputy commissioner for special needs, and her job is to help individuals, act as sort of a representative, if you will, for those individuals living with disabilities or special needs that need help. And she can help you navigate the system and let you know what services are available either at the county level or the state level. And I'd encourage you to reach out to her as well. Now, you can always contact my office at 845-486-2000. That's 845-486-2000. And lastly, let me mention that this budget does include a $100,000 increase to our home care assistance through the Office for the Aging. And the Office for the Aging provides a lot of assistance to seniors. And by the way, those who are living independently and those who need help, our Office for the Aging can be of assistance helping you navigate the system. And we do increase funding to assist with home care so that we can help seniors and families live as independently as possible. So I hope that helps with your question. Again, this is Dutchess County Executive Mark Molinaro. You're on the phone call regarding the 2017 tentative budget. You're on the call, in fact, with a few thousand residents, so say hello. If you have a question, hit *3. We'd be happy to try to get you. Please be patient. We're trying to get through these as quick as we can. We're going to go to Mary Ann. Mary Ann in Pleasant Valley, you have a question. Mary Ann, are you there? Okay, we lost Mary Ann. Mary Ann had a question, I think, just about property taxes, so why don't I at least answer that again just to say that, the county government's responsible only for one slice of your local taxes. About 14% of your property tax bill goes to pay for county government. We're the smallest slice of your budget, of your property tax bill. This budget does, in fact, reduce the tax levy again, so your county tax bill may, in fact, go down a little bit. Your tax levy the tax levy is going to decrease, the county tax rate is going to decrease, and this is the third year of tax levy reductions that we've been able to provide. Now, I think the question was basically, well, why do my taxes keep going up? And the truth is the state forces so many mandates down onto school districts and others that there are other portions of your bill that may go up a little bit, and we're trying and continue to fight to get real property tax relief and relief from Albany. And as I mentioned, Senator Serino and Assemblywoman Barrett were successful in securing some financial assistance for mental health services in Dutchess County, which allows us to continue to provide property tax relief. Now, this budget also includes a grant program that we work on with our towns, villages, and cities. So our shared services grant program is meant to assist municipalities in coming up with new ways to cut costs. And I really encourage our supervisors and mayors and town boards and city boards and village boards of trustees to reach out and participate in that program, because our goal has been, and we've been very successful in certain communities, to provide help that would drive down costs locally. And if we can make government smaller and more efficient and still meet the needs that taxpayers have, we can do that while cutting costs. So I appreciate that. I know that I knew that you had a question. I'm sorry you had to hang on for a few minutes. At this point, let's go to Barbara from Wappingers Falls. Barbara has a question. And by the way, if you have a question, hit *3 on your phone. Hang on a little bit. We've got a few people waiting for a few minutes, and we'll get to you, okay? Barbara, go ahead.
Yes, hi. Hi, I'm County Executive. I'm calling because I wanted to know, I'm hearing that you saying that there's a tax reduction, and I heard you mentioned about the mental health budget that had to be reshaped. Is that was there budget cuts? Was there more programs added, or in regards to the reshaping that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, it's a good question, and good that I be able to clarify it. There is no reduction in mental health services. In fact, this budget will increase mental health assistance. And when I say reshaping, what I mean is that the mental health structure in Dutchess County was built around those old psychiatric centers that were closed, and we've spent many, many years now trying to make the system more effective for people living with mental illness. And by the way, address the stigma, and I want to say that while we have a few thousand people on the line, we have to confront the stigma of mental illness. These are health concerns that have to be addressed. The medical field, the health insurance world, and those, all of us really have been, have to be more sensitive to those living with mental illness. This budget, in fact, increases funding for prevention, intervention, and diversion. That's our new model: prevention, intervention, and diversion. We continue to expand our crisis intervention team, our mobile intervention team. In this budget, as I said, in early part of 2017, we'll open our stabilization center, which is a model that has been used in other parts of the country, but it's pretty much the first in the state that allows us to assist people in dealing with crisis. Now, again, we continue our mental health first aid programming throughout different schools in Dutchess County, mental health first aid, and so on. So we continue to assist where we can, and this budget, in fact, increases our commitment to mental health services, all with the goal, by the way, of getting people the help they need so they don't end up in a emergency room where they might not get the assistance they need, or worse yet, a county jail or state prison where they're not really getting the help that they need. So I hope that answers the question. No reduction in mental health services. In fact, continues our expansion of that effort. And at this point, why don't we go? There's a few people been on the line for a little bit. You want to go to Jean in Hyde Park? Well, let's do that. Jean, you had a question?
Yes. I'm concerned that Hyde Park, for instance, is still all on septic. There's no sewage. And, I mean...
There's sewage, but there's no pipe to take it away.
Right. And
I'm being funny.
But, I mean, considering it's 2016, we're supposedly, a very modern country, why we do not have the infrastructure to have sewage. And until there's proper sewage, any development, whether it's a restaurant or anything else in Hyde Park, it's going to be pretty much, at a halt. I mean, why aren't we up there with major utilities? And I consider sewage a major utility.
It is, and it's a great question. I actually, as you probably know, served as mayor of the village of Tivoli for 12 years. We actually have municipal water and sewer, and you're right. Municipal water and sewer allows not only for protection of our natural resources, but does allow development to occur in places where you can have a little more density. And the center of the town of Hyde Park is a major concern for us. Although we assist every community in Dutchess County. The reason there isn't is twofold. One, it's expensive. Municipal water and sewer is exceptionally expensive, especially when you're building it after the fact, right? So when you're able to install it from the beginning, it's a lot more affordable. And New York State says only the people who directly benefit from sewer can pay for that. So what that means is there's a small number of people. Take just Albany Post Road, Route 9 in Hyde Park. Only the people that connect to that pipe can be forced to pay for it. So that becomes very, very cost prohibitive. We have, however, been assisting municipalities in accessing state and federal assistance to bring water and sewer to certain areas. We're bringing water to the Dutchess County Airport, which would allow for some growth in and around the county airport. But in Hyde Park last year, we authorized a $500,000 grant that should the town of Hyde Park be able to secure state and federal assistance, which they've identified, we'll partner with them, we hope, and local developers to bring sewer to Hyde Park. But you're correct. Without it, you're not going to see the kind of growth in the areas you want it. And it is because this state makes it difficult to finance water and sewer infrastructure, and it is very, very expensive. But we do have a focus. Our economic development efforts have been focused on growing infrastructure because that's the way we can support growth in the places we want it while protecting those natural resources and open spaces that Dutchess County residents enjoy as well. So at this point, I appreciate you being on the call. And again, you're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We've been calling thousands of residents across the county. We're going to do this for a few more minutes. We wanted to go for about an hour. If you have a question, hit *3 on your phone and be happy to talk with you. We're going to go, where are we going to go? We're going to go to, let's go to, we'll go to Barbara from town of Poughkeepsie. Barbara, I know you had a phone call. Go ahead. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead. You had a question?
Yes, I do. I live in town of Poughkeepsie, and where there's several, non-paying organizations in this part of the county, which is, that's basically our fire tax is really high, Marist College especially. they use a lot of fire services and they're not paying for it. So what are we doing about getting Marist College to, they have a higher enrollment of children that, they're making a lot of money, but they're not paying towards their services. And we as a taxpayer in our community is paying like a largest tax in the county and maybe in the state.
Well, I appreciate that. You are correct. The Arlington and the Fairview Fire District costs, those taxes are, in fact, among the highest in the state of New York. The issue, though, is that, as much as I'd like to be in control of lots of things, county government doesn't get to decide who is or is not tax exempt. That is a decision made by the state of New York. And as I said a little bit earlier, there does have to be a review of who qualifies and doesn't qualify for tax exempt status. That's a decision that Albany needs to make. Within that, though, Marist College does make contribution for fire services, and you may be right. It may not be enough compared to the demand for service. Local communities have negotiated payments in lieu of taxes, and certainly that's an option that can be further explored. But as much as I'd like to say we had some solution at the county level, we don't. We don't at Dutchess County government doesn't have the ability to dictate. It's really an issue that needs to be confronted by Albany. But on behalf of Dutchess County residents, we continue to call for assistance to try to fix this. Now, we are reviewing currently emergency services, and we recognize countywide that ambulance service is a pretty expensive bill, and there are parts of the county where you're getting more service. There are parts of the county where you're getting less service, and there's not continuity throughout. And early next year, we hope to have a series of proposals that hopefully will assist municipalities and may, in certain places, reduce costs. But that's going to be, again, under state law, it's going to take a little bit more time, and it's going to require people and communities to cooperate. And I'd just ask you to pay attention to that and certainly encourage that municipalities participate so we can try to provide some more benefit and relief to taxpayers. But I wish that was under control of Dutchess County government in some cases, but it isn't. I would encourage you to continue to reach out to your state legislators and state government because they do have to confront it. So again, I appreciate that call, and I'm happy to have you on the line. We're calling every household in Dutchess County. You're on the line with a few thousand Dutchess County residents. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro. I want to thank you for being on the call. This is a free and open telephone town hall. And at this point, do you want to go to Lorraine? Lorraine from Poughkeepsie has a question. And by the way, as we take Lorraine's call, if you have a question, hit *3 on your phone, and we'll get you in the system and try to get to your question. Go ahead, Lorraine.
Hi, my question is, since the YMCA and the YWCA closed, we have very little for our young people to do in Poughkeepsie. Outside of Pulaski Park, there's no pool for the local kids to go to. I don't know if there is Scouts. I know Arlington has some Girl Scouts. I'm not sure how one finds the Boy Scouts. Candy Stripers don't exist anymore. There's no affordable camps in Poughkeepsie. The circus doesn't even come to Poughkeepsie. You now have to go to Wappingers, to the Renegades Stadium to go to the circus. What does Dutchess County plan for the youth of Poughkeepsie?
Well, I appreciate that question. I'm going to be careful how I answer this. I mean, some of that responsibility does fall within the local community, and in certain towns and villages, they provide those programs. And I understand in the case of the city of Poughkeepsie, they're financially stressed, so we've actually provided some direct assistance. Now, mind you, one of the things that we are doing is we dedicated funding to work with the city of Poughkeepsie to evaluate what services are needed, because you're right, by the way. Maybe in some cases there's a Girl Scout or Boy Scouts. In some cases there might be a United Way sponsored program or some church group. So it's important to know who's out there and who's providing assistance and helping families know where to go to get those programs. So that's number one. Number two, we've also committed with the city to make an investment for some coordinated youth programming, but the city and your new mayor, Rob Rollison, is focused on trying to get your finances in order, and when he does that, I'm certain that we're going to take the next step to take a look at how to provide more coordinated youth services. Now, what I want you to know is in the 2017 budget, we are expanding our commitment to youth programming. There's a series of programs that we're providing assistance through the Department of Community and Family Services. One's called Strengthening Families, where we're providing assistance, family skills training program, assistance to parents, to assist young people in particular deal with drug and alcohol addiction and or abuse. Community schooling, where we have actually services right in the City of Poughkeepsie School District. So our Department of Community and Family Services and others are right there in the school where we can provide direct assistance. A program called Better for Families, along with $100,000 increased dedicated funding for youth services, and we'll be rolling out those programs and that assistance in 2017. So this budget does increase our commitment to youth services, and there are a series of program and steps that we're taking to expand what we do to assist young people countywide. So with that, if you have additional questions regarding the budget, you can visit dutchessny.gov. Please take a look at the county's the 2017 tentative budget, or budget in brief, and some more information. If you're on the line and have a question, hit star 3, and we'll take your call. Now, at this point, let me just remind you, you're on the line with Mark Molinaro, County Executive. It's about 7:15. We're going to go to 7:30, so we wanted to take a call. We have a few people on the line. You want to go to Barbara in Wappinger. You've been on the line the longest, so we're coming to you. Barbara, go ahead.
Hi, Mark. I just wanted to say thank you. You took some money out of the budget to offer jurors in Dutchess County free parking on Market Street in the garage. I'll tell you, it makes it much more affordable for us to do our civic duty. I'm retired and every penny counts. I can show up as long as the county needs me. I have the time. I'm just a little short on cash, and I know you included parking in the budget, and I just want to say thank you. It's
well, you're welcome. Thank you for that. Actually, I think Dutchess County for some time was the only county in the state that didn't give parking access to those on jury duty. So I'm glad that's making your life a little bit easier. And thank you for taking time to be a member, to participate in the jury selection. I appreciate that a lot. And that actually, by the way, I do want to give credit. That was an initiative forwarded by the county court system with the Dutchess County Legislature. So the budget chairwoman, Angela Flesland, and the chairman of the county legislature, Dale Borkett, both were very supportive and in fact, moved that funding forward. So thanks for that. We're going to go now to Kelly. Kelly is from Fishkill. Kelly, you've been on the line the longest, so we're coming back to you. Go ahead. If you have a question, by the way, while you're on the line, hit star 3, and we'll try to get to you. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hi, good evening, Mark. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
And I wanted to ask a question, and I don't want to come off as insensitive or rude, but
okay.
I keep hearing you speak about the mental health budget, and I'm completely sensitive to the fact that there is a mental health crisis. I understand that, but I don't understand. I guess it's a two-part question. My taxes, just so you know, have gone up significantly. So I'm wondering, why so much for a mental health budget? Why does it have to affect taxpayers so gravely?
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
I'm sorry to sound like that.
No, you're allowed to sound that way. Every resident has an opinion, and you said it politely. So why focus on mental health? Two reasons. One, by providing direct assistance to individuals dealing with mental health crisis before it becomes a crisis, we keep them from becoming dependent on other county services, other government services. So, if you're dealing with addiction, if you're dealing with severe mental illness, if we're able to provide, what's the saying? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of, I don't know what the other thing is. But anyway, if we're able to invest in prevention services so that individuals don't end up in an emergency room and then don't become dependent on other services, it saves money. And by the way, our budget reflects that. We're able to show savings in other areas because we're committing a focus on prevention and intervention services. The other is from our perspective, law enforcement spends a lot of time responding to mental illness. And by the way, I say, and you agree, being mentally ill is not a crime. So the goal is, through these services and our programming, is to intervene at the time a police officer or an emergency response person goes to a mental health crisis and to divert the individual from going to jail. Because once you go to jail, it is a huge cost when you're in the system, and it is cheaper to provide drug addiction assistance and recovery support and other mental health services so that we can keep individuals out of jail. By keeping them out of jail safely, we're able to save a lot of money. And by the way, our budgets over the last 4 years have shown continued reduction in some of our jail-related costs, or at least managing some of our jail-related costs, because we're investing in mental health services. So you're not being at all insensitive. It's a good question. Now, the only thing I would say is it's unlikely, and unless you increase the size of your house, it's unlikely the Dutchess County portion of your budget has gone up over the last 2 years. I do agree, though. There's a good chance that most of the other taxes that you pay have gone up slightly. And by the way, as I mentioned, we're able to do a lot of this without going to entirely to the Dutchess County taxpayer. We're able to secure assistance to reshape mental health services through the state of New York, thanks to Senator Sue Serino and Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett. So I hope that answers your question. If you have other questions, you can always visit dutchessny.gov, or you can call my phone line as well at 845-486-2000. Again, you're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're going to go to Catherine in the town of Poughkeepsie. Catherine, you've been on the phone waiting for us, and we're happy to take you live. If you have other questions, please if you have a question, hit *3, and we'll try to get to you. Go ahead, Catherine.
Good evening, Mr. Molinaro.
Oh, it's Mark.
My question has to do with, or suggestions, with senior citizens and rentals here in Dutchess County. As I'm sure you well know, there's a very low vacancy rate in most of the county. Therefore, a lot of these complexes are able to raise rents tremendous amounts. And a lot of us don't qualify for 55-plus communities because we make too much money, but we don't make enough to live in other complexes. And I've been looking a lot at rent stabilization laws. Would I like to see that throughout the state? Sure, I would. But the thing that intrigues me, because I am a senior citizen, is the part of the law that deals with seniors, that as an existing tenant, 22 or over, then they can you can have your rent frozen as long as you're paying a third or more of your monthly income. And I'm wondering, have we thought about taking steps to help our seniors with something like that?
Yes. I mean, to say that housing, as obviously as a cost for seniors, continues to rise, and it's very difficult for seniors to find locations, residential options. Now, Dutchess County does support, with federal funding and local commitment, we do have housing support programs, that are available to seniors. And I would encourage you and others to reach out to Dutchess County's Office for the Aging so that we can assist. And again, what the Office for the Aging does for seniors is to help identify housing opportunities along with other services that might be able to, that we could provide that would assist in reducing cost. You can, if you have a pen, you can reach the Office for the Aging at 845-486-2583, 486-2583. In partnership with Dutchess County Planning, we can provide some assistance we do have programming to provide some assistance for senior housing. Now, there are, by the way, affordable senior housing options around the county, and again, you are correct. I think I've been saying this a lot tonight. The vacancy rates are low, so there is a difficulty, and there's obviously a demand for housing. We're hopeful, though, and we know there are projects underway across the county that might be available and might start opening, mostly in our village and city centers, that could provide opportunity, and we continue to support accessible senior housing so that residents can age in the community and not be forced out of their homes or out of their neighborhoods. So, again, reach out to the Office for the Aging. We'll try to provide some direct assistance, and I'd like to hear more about your idea so that perhaps we can argue some greater help from Albany or Washington. So I appreciate the call. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're coming close to the end, although we won't cut you off just yet. This is Telephone Town Hall. And I'd be happy to take some more questions. If you have a question, hit *3, and we're going to go to Paul in LaGrange. Paul in LaGrange, go ahead.
Yes, I realize this is not your responsibility, but I'd like to ask a question that all property tax owners realize that the school taxes are the greatest burden. And since the school boards take up a lot of the school tax, why can't we consolidate some of the school boards? The function, I assume, of the school board is to take the mandates from the federal government and the state government and work out programs and provide these programs to the schools. Now, whether you provide it for 10 schools or 15 schools, it shouldn't be that much extra work. So what can taxpayers do to try to get school boards to consolidate instead of, I think there's 14 in Dutchess County, why can't we have 10 or 7 or 6?
Well, the good news in part is that's up to you, meaning taxpayers do have the right to petition school boards to move forward with consolidation. And, you know, from my observation, there are plenty of states that have more regionalized school districts, and that does, in many cases, reduce administrative costs and those things that you mentioned. But the state does allow for the creation. This state allows for the creation of individual districts, and each district needs to decide on its own if it wants to consolidate or merge with another one. So, you know, the best option for taxpayers when it comes to that sort of thing is to petition, if you will, or call, you know, on your school board to initiate that kind of consolidation and shared service. Now, I would say, just as an aside, it wasn't your question, but in what Dutchess County has been doing is funding shared services among our towns, villages, and cities. And the state does have a fund for municipalities, and I think school districts can participate to fund shared services and consolidation efforts. So there is a pool of grant money that schools and others can take advantage of to try to consolidate certain areas. And I would encourage you and others to ask the school districts, and again, you have every right as a taxpayer to ask your school district to look at those things. So I appreciate the call. It's 7:25. We're going to do this for a few more minutes. You're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We've called households across Dutchess County, and at this point wanted to take a call. I think that, is it Carol or Corolla? Is it Corolla from Poughkeepsie? Are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Molinaro. Carola, I appreciate all the remarks and the calls and so on, and your responses on programs that, for instance, the mental health services, and I'm hoping that you know, we can get more beds for youth in the local area rather than, you know, have to send them so far. But and then also in terms of the domestic violence response team, I'm hoping we can expand that to the whole county. And then in terms of services for youth, I'm also hoping that the county budget can be applied towards opening more after-school programs for youth. My other concern, as you know, I have several, but most of all, I'm concerned at this time of year for the homeless because winter is on the way, and there are some people may not realize gaps in services where, although there is an overnight shelter, the day shelter is not open all the time due to you know, the location and so on.
No, you're right. So let's do this. So that we can try to get a few more questions in before we're done.
Oh yes, I realize you're running out of time.
That's okay, but let me answer at least give you some direction on what the budget includes for homelessness and issues related to homelessness. Now, keep in mind that our commitment to mental health has a lot to do with trying to get people off the street and out of emergency rooms and into services and provision of services that will help. And again, to the taxpayer who called before, that's so we can reduce the costs in other areas. But the 2017 budget does include over $800,000 to Hudson River Housing as a part. We partner with Hudson River Housing for shelter assistance. And by the way, in 2017, we've increased the budget by over $100,000 for shelter assistance and case management. So we are expanding that budget. Now, in particular, we know that there are a number of people who are dealing with significant mental health issues. Some are veterans that are dealing with homelessness, and our goal is to, again, try to get people off the streets, out of emergency rooms in county jail where they're getting the support that they need in order to live independent lives. And by doing that, we're able to reduce other costs in the county budget. We, of course, also partner with and have a financial commitment to the Living Room, which is that daytime facility. And we continue to partner with Mental Health America and others to provide assistance to those living with mental health issues. Again, you're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We've called the Dutchess County Households as a town hall meeting, in particular about the 2017 county budget. We are at 7:29 p.m. We were supposed to go for 1 hour. We're going to go for a couple more minutes. If you're on the line and we weren't able to get you on the phone for your question, you'll be given an opportunity to leave your leave your question as a voicemail, and staff from county government will try to reach back to you. Well, they will reach back to you to try to get you an answer. So if we weren't able to get your question tonight, you are, however, invited to leave your question on voicemail, and we'll be happy to get you an answer. Now, I want to mention, if you visit dutchessny.gov, you can see the budget information online. And, by the way, we are having a series of physical town hall meetings that you can participate in throughout Dutchess County. As of right now, we are holding one in Milan, the town of Milan. We're holding one in the town of Dover, in the town of East Fishkill, in the city of Beacon. And you can see those dates and locations online at dutchessny.gov, and I'd be more than happy to see you at one of those meetings. Now, with that, I think, why don't we go to, who are we going to here? I want to make sure. Why don't we go to Heidi in Poquag? Heidi is probably going to, let's go to Heidi. Heidi's got a question. We'd be happy to take your question. Go ahead, Heidi.
Hi, Mr. Molinaro.
It's Mark. Call me Mark.
Mark, sorry. Hello, Mark. We've been residents of Dutchess County for 8 years, and I'd have to say things are improving, and I'm very happy to live here, and I wish I could dedicate all my property taxes to the county, really. But my children, I'm trying to get them involved in how local government operates, and this is a first. So we're listening in on this call, and they had a question regarding the postcard that was sent out about the preliminary budget and all the questions that have been asked. Right. My daughter was wondering, because we do talk about the problems of abuse and addiction that are occurring. I have high school students, elementary school students, and we talk openly about this and all the things that we hear that are going on. And we're wondering, is this problem within the county and really nationally, is it improving in our locale as far as opiate addiction and all these terrible things going on? Because I'm glad that it is still, funded in the budget, and it's a major point. And they were concerned, really, is it getting any better here?
I'm going to say this. I just actually participated in a forum yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It wasn't today. Yesterday, and I think that we as a society have to confront the fact that the public health crisis of our day is in particular heroin and opiate addiction and abuse. There's just no question. And sadly, we have seen far too many people lose their fight with addiction and through overdose, some taking their own lives intentionally, others through accidental overdose. Dutchess County is committed to continue to improve our response to addiction and abuse. Your question is, are things getting better? Where we are strengthening our programs, but the problem continues to grow, and that's not unique to Dutchess, but it is, however, something that is obviously close to us. This is our community. We want to address it. So our Department of Behavioral and Community Health, and again, I want to stress, if someone knows someone and you're on the line and you're listening and you know someone who's dealing with addiction or has a family or friend who's dealing with addiction, you can contact Dutchess County's helpline, and we have professionals on the phone or by text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, available to provide assistance. So through evidence-based program, what we try to do is identify very carefully programs that have proven outcomes, and we manage the data and we process that information so we make better choices in what we fund. We continue to have training programs and outreach in schools across the county. We're in 18 middle schools and high schools, middle schools across Dutchess County where we provide direct assistance. I would tell you, if you're in a school district that doesn't access that service, call up your school superintendent, call up your school board, tell your principal that Dutchess County has a partnership with CAPE and others where we provide direct assistance in schools, and we want to be in more of them. Additionally, we continue to train individuals on the administration of Narcan, so there are more and more people who are prepared to respond to overdoses, in particular heroin issues, and that's important. And throughout the county, we're trying to develop coalitions, community coalitions throughout Dutchess County to provide resources, tools, and assistance to individuals so they know how to deal with addiction and abuse. And I guess I would say what's very important, and I'm glad you talked to your family together talk about this issue, we have to empower young people, strengthen their willingness to respond, in particular to friends who they know are dealing with addiction. And again, by calling or texting Dutchess County's helpline at 485-9700, it's 845-485-9700, you can have, on the other end of the line, you have a professional who's available, phone or text, who can provide direct assistance and can help you get to the support you need in order to help a friend or maybe yourself. So right now, we're getting close to the end. I want to go to Armin. Armin in Wappingers Falls, you have a question, and I'd be happy to take it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you clear as day.
Okay, I'll go on. I'll take my speakerphone off. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Molinaro. Number one, Dutchess County has been increasingly proactive in addressing Lyme disease on a preventive level. Being a pandemic in all U.S. states, it has been responsible for an increasing number of disabilities in all age groups, with the concerns or the concomitant effects on everyday life, from housing to personal mobility, for shopping, to get to a medical care center, and also to, very importantly, it reduces the ability for children to attend school with long absences. Now, with that, State Senator Serino and Assemblywoman Dee Dee Barrett have been supportive and spokespersons for the growing number of adults and children afflicted in New York State. Dutchess County has the opportunity to be the lead in the great state of New York in what can be done for its citizens. My question is, what is being done? Finally, the Hudson Valley Lyme Disease Association, chaired by its president, Jill Auerbach, has helped Dutchess County and Hudson Valley counties in updates and inputs to the appropriate state and county agencies. And that's my, I don't know at this time what is being done at a county level. And so thank you for the opportunity to ask the question.
No, I appreciate that. You've been on the line long enough that you were able to really hone that question down pretty well. You not only asked it, but you kind of answered it too. And that is, Dutchess County has been pretty proactive, in particular in education and prevention. And thanks to some assistance from Senator Serino, Assemblywoman Barrett, and others, we actually have expanded our commitment and our assistance providing prevention and education information regarding tick-borne diseases. Our public health structure is such that Sadly, if someone's being directly affected by Lyme, you really have to go through your health care provider, et cetera. But we do, through the Department of Behavioral and Community Health, continue to continue our outreach to explain to individuals what steps should be taken to prevent a tick-borne disease and where they should turn if they are dealing with a tick-borne disease. And Senator Serino, and I don't have the website in front of me, but Senator Serino has an active website. So if you visit her online presence, you can access what is her direct Lyme disease and tick-borne disease website and get more information about what she's doing and the state's doing along with what we're doing. Now, with that, we are at 7:40. I'm willing to stay on the line a couple minutes longer. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. If you have a question and we didn't get to you, you'll be given an opportunity to ask that question, and we'll try to get back to you. Let me do this. There are a couple that I know called in. I have a question. What I'll do is give you some information rather than bring you up on the line, just so we can get through a few more. There's an issue regarding a proposed refugee administrative office. There's a public hearing. So if you're on the line, you've called regarding what is a Department of State, a U.S. Department of State refugee administrative office. There's a public hearing where you can get more information, a public forum at the Adrian's Library on November the 10th. On November 10th at the Adrian's Public Library in the city of Poughkeepsie, you can participate in that forum and get that question. Get that issue addressed. I know that Tom from Poughkeepsie had a question regarding the city of Poughkeepsie's proposal on buses, so let me address that. And just to say that financially the city of Poughkeepsie is not able to sustain its public transit system. They have proposed, in essence, funding it only until June of this year and then asking Dutchess County to expand our bus service to accommodate. I know that there'll be a few public meetings that the mayor is holding that residents should participate in. My response and Dutchess County's response is we will not allow city of Poughkeepsie residents to go without buses. But it is a decision that the city council and the city mayor have to make. We are prepared to provide assistance. The 2017 budget actually allows us to expand Dutchess County's bus system to, in essence, compensate and cover the city of Poughkeepsie at no additional cost to taxpayers. I'd also tell you the 2017 budget includes expanding our bus system to 7 days a week. Currently, we don't provide services on Sunday, but in 2017 we will. And a new route, Route I, which will extend into the town of Poughkeepsie. And we're able to do all those things without adding cost to the taxpayers. So at this point, we're going to take, let's see, what do we have? We are at 7:40, and we've gone a little bit over the time that we expected to be on the call. So let's do this. At this point, if you have a question, you'll be given an opportunity to leave it, and staff from county government will get back to you. I want to thank you for being on the line. I know there was a question regarding some of our economic development efforts, and this county went through a big transition years ago, obviously with the substantial downsize of IBM and what were technology-related jobs. And what steps have we been taking since? Well, we've been restructuring economic development efforts to really grow existing businesses, existing small businesses throughout the county. At the same time, we've been expanding opportunities to attract new employers, to diversify the workforce even further. So this budget continues those very aggressive efforts. We've seen some new manufacturers come to come to Dutchess County. And in fact, just so you know, in this year alone, the first quarter of 2016, we actually led the region in private sector job growth, some 1,800 new jobs created in the first sector of this year. We recognize, though, we need to create new opportunities for higher paying jobs, and one of the things that we're doing, in fact, is expanding our partnership at the current Dutchess County Airport to create aviation-related jobs, and we're seeing some growth there as well. So our economic development efforts is under the brand of Think Dutchess. They've been very aggressive going across the country, attracting and seeking new employers while at the same time supporting existing businesses to grow. And we're going through this transition where We're trying to grow data-related jobs, healthcare-related jobs, and aviation-related jobs where they're higher-paying incomes. But at the same time, there's about $3.2 billion worth of new development, commercial development underway in Dutchess County. And those will be new businesses with job opportunities as well. So listen, I think we've kept you long enough. You've been on the line since 6:30. We appreciate that. If you're still on the line with a question, we really want to give you an opportunity to leave that question with our staff. Be happy to get you an answer. Again, visit dutchessny.gov, and you can see the dates and times and locations of our public town hall meetings. And you've been on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro, and I appreciate you being with us this evening. So with that, we're going to say goodnight, and thank you for joining us, and look forward to getting you answers to some of your questions if you're in the queue. And beyond that, have a terrific evening, and as the holidays approach, we hope for a safe and happy holiday season. Thanks very much.